Hello and welcome to Ryno's Orioles Report. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. This video I'm going to be really talking about the opening day roster. While it's not officially set, this is kind of a bridge between spring training and opening day. I don't have a games to talk about. That'll be 3-4 days from now, so I guess Monday, right? Because the season starts tomorrow. And in true Mike Elias fashion, shaking up the roster a few days prior to Ron, Wong, they're gone. Nick Maton, he's gone too. In comes Tony Kemp. Sure. Okay. I'm not quite sure why you think Tony Kemp is better than Colton Wong, but however you like, man. To a certain extent, Kemp was brought into the Astros organization when Elias was there. So I assume that's part of the reason. Familiarity, however you say that word. Fumbled on that one badly. All right, so usually I go to massivsports.com for a lot of this Orioles information, and I do have some information from the Orioles, but like, say, a roster, well, I don't know. Massive Sports is managing that website however they feel like managing that website. But the roster for the 2024 players is not on there. It's the roster for 2023. So that's not applicable here. And MLB.com, I didn't like the way the depth chart was set up. There's way too many names on the list, and I mean, because it's a depth chart. So you got like 4 names for each position. And even just their roster page had at least 30 players named. What's the roster's only 26. Like, I want at least a visual representation of what the roster, close to what the roster will look like. Because this article here, written, as you can see, March 25th, by Stacy of CamdenChat.com, an SB Nation affiliate. So it's a few days old, so Kemp isn't on the list, but we have insider information of who is the most likely candidate to come off of this list that I will scroll down here and show you. I don't need to, show you this person's whole article. We'll start with the rotation. It's fairly obvious. Corbin Burns, Grayson Rodriguez, Tyler Wells, Dean Kramer, Cole Irvin. Bradish and Means had opportunity to get into, they had a chance to get into the rotation, but injuries kind of hurt that. Cole Irvin, essentially, last year, he started out in the rotation, moved around a few times. Kind of stuck in the bullpen, largely because of the success of other starters. Well, with injuries, Cole Irvin back in the rotation. And Corbin Burns taking the place of Kyle Gibson. So it's really the same rotation, basically. Not really that many changes. The big one is Corbin Burns. Bullpen, honestly, the bullpen looks almost the same as well. Keegan Aiken, Mike Bauman, Yanier Cano, Danny Coulomb, Craig Kimbrell, Cionel Perez, Dylan Tate, Jacob Webb. Now, essentially, Keegan Aiken is taking Irvin's spot in the bullpen. Basically. Because, there's not that much changeover. Craig Kimbrell is taking Felix Bautista's spot. You lost Bautista in that injury, and Cano he did okay, but you had an opportunity to get a proven closer. Yeah, okay, he's getting up there in age. All right, but it does strengthen your bullpen. And Tate is he's really taking Fujinami's spot hopefully we'll actually get to see Dylan Tate pitch this year. Other names that left off, like Brian Baker, kind of surprised at that. Though he did kind of fall out of favor towards the end of the season. DL Hall, maybe Tate's taking DL Hall's spot. Because DL Hall in the trade to get Corbin Burns. But, I mean, somewhat excited to see how this goes. I think I would be fairly interested to see what the rotation looks like. And we're assuming that Means and Bradish can come back healthy this year. Because you'll want those guys to be starters, right? I mean, the way John Means and Kyle Bradish have been pitching, their last few healthy years. Yeah, they're going to be in the rotation. How is that's going to go down? I don't know. Brandon Hyde did have some success managing a 6-man rotation last year. He really did. So the likelihood of that happening is fairly good, I think. So, I mean, you would essentially, barring any injuries, drop Cole Irvin out of the rotation and insert John Means and Kyle Bradish, and most likely move Cole Irvin to the bullpen and drop somebody off the bullpen list. Keegan Aiken, Bauman, Dylan Tate, probably the most obvious candidates. Because assuming Yanier Cano can have the same kind of year, Cano's going to be in there the whole year. Kimbrel's going to be in there the whole year. Webb's going to be there. I mean, these guys got outs. The wild cards there, Aiken, Bauman, Tate, because we haven't seen him for a long time. I feel like it's been, wow. He did pitch the year before last. I mean, he had arm problems, right? He was the arm problem, and Gibbons was the knee problem. Who knows anymore? Because he had some setbacks, and that's why we never saw him last year. So that's kind of the will it or won't it happen, because we just haven't seen Tate pitch. I kind of, well, I mean, it depends on the shape of how the game plays out tomorrow, but Tate might be the first one you see out of the bullpen because it's been so long since he's played in a meaningful game. Some of these guys played in a meaningful game, back in November. Or end of October? Or when exactly was that? I guess it was end of October. What's that, 4 months ago? 5 months ago? It's been, you probably could quantify it in years for Dylan Tate. So, and I don't expect there to be a drop-off in the bullpen. I think the bullpen and their performances are going to be either the same or better. And everybody, I know people I've talked to are like, oh, you really think that, they're not going to be affected by the loss of Felix Bautista? I'm like, well, but they got Craig Kimbrel. No, I don't think they're going to feel the loss of Felix Bautista. No. Are they the same pitchers? No. Is one necessarily better than the other? I mean, they have different styles, really. They have different styles and different points in their career, where Felix Bautista was really young in his career. Craig Kimbrel is not young in his career. So, does, let's say, Kimbrel have the velocity or maybe the stamina that Felix Bautista has because Felix is so much younger? Well, no, but what he lacks in, let's say, those physical abilities that go with age, he gains in wisdom from being around that long. He knows how to get outs regardless of his pitch velocity. In my opinion, Craig Kimbrel is more of a pitcher and Felix Bautista was more of a thrower. Both can get outs. Just, it's a different way to get outs. And I don't think there's going to be a drop off in Craig Kimbrell. I don't. No. Why would you think there would be a drop off? I mean, a huge drop off? I mean, no. I mean, you think Craig Kimbrell's going to be blowing saves left and right? No. No. That's not happening. Jacob Webb, I guess Jacob Webb was on the bubble, compared to, Kimbrell was getting a spot, Coulon was getting a spot, Cano was getting a spot. At least Bauman or Aiken, they were getting a spot because you needed some kind of long man. Jacob Webb, he did kind of peter out there for, at the end of the season. Got him, 2.5 months? With 2.5 months left in the season, some kind of waiver claim kind of deal. Brandon Hyde used the shit out of Jacob Webb. Used that. But, when the end of the season was approaching, you kind of... to me, it looked like Jacob Webb was getting a little tired. He was, almost overuse. Because he kept going back to him and back to him and back to him, which, he was coming through for you more often than not, but he's almost a little too reliable. Victim of his own success. But, I think the bullpen's going to be fine. And the rotation, I think, is going to be fine. I'm really interested in seeing Grayson Rodriguez go a whole season in the rotation. I think it's going to be good. Be even better when Bradish comes back. Take a look at the position players on this list here. Name at the top of the list is what I'm a little surprised about. My take on the fourth outfielder spot. Because obviously, Hayes, Mullins, Santander are going to be listed as the starting outfielders. We'll see how much Santander plays right field. I think he's pretty good at first base. I think he's definitely an upgrade over O'Hearn, in my opinion. Whether he's better than Mountcastle or not, I guess is debatable. But who's your fourth outfielder? Brandon Hyde loves that versatile kind of guy. Taron Valver or Ryan McKenna, not around anymore. But lost in the shuffle, Kyle Stowers. Lost in the shuffle again. Nope, don't get your shot again. I guess, the Mike Elias and Brandon Hyde, they have hesitation in giving Stowers a spot because they think he performed so bad last year to start the season. Though he had a lot of his playing time robbed by Taron Valver. Why, I don't know. Taron Valver's not even around anymore. Or, he's technically around, but he, not even sniffing the Major League roster at this point. Colton Cowser, I wouldn't say that he's outperformed Kyle Stowers. I just... remember, what does he bat? There we go. Does he bat left-handed? Yeah, he does bat left-handed. Okay. I didn't see a lot. I'm interested to see Kyle Stowers perform. Here are the spring training numbers according to MLB.com. Kyle Stowers, 43 at bats, 11 hits, 7 home runs, 14 RBIs. Colton Cowser, 46 at bats, 14 hits, 6 home runs, 13 RBIs. The only real difference is 46 at bats by Cowser, 43 at bats by Stowers. Stowers, 11 hits where Cowser had 14. Much higher on base percentage. And the only real thing here is, I guess, On base percentage is higher. They don't have walks. Yeah, they didn't. You gonna tell me the walks? Yeah, I mean, look here. Kyle Stowers 1 walk. And this says Colton Cowser 7. So that's huge. Where you see more patience at the plate. Though those 7, that's not counted as an at bat. So it's really in plate appearances on here. But that would be what, 53 plate appearances versus 44. I mean, 9 more plate appearances. Then again, it's not even. Is that really Kyle Stowers? Because he looks a lot like, in that picture, he looks a lot like Ryan Mountcastle. I mean, this is him here. This picture, that looks like a lot like Ryan Mountcastle. Wow. Okay. And it's not necessarily that I think Colton Cowser is a bad player and unworthy of a spot. I'm disappointed that, and who's older, that Kyle Stowers just doesn't seem to be getting as much play. Now, Colton Cowser's younger. See, Stowers is 26, Cowser's 24. So there is that coming into play, I assume. But at the same time, Kyle Stowers, his, call it deadline to get on a major league team, on the major league team before, he might be lost to the Rule 5 draft. It's coming up sooner. So don't you want to know what you got with the guy? Because as far as I'm telling you, you have an okay player. I mean, it's not like you have a terrible player. But it does look like, as far as outfield spots, and the performance of Stowers in spring training, he's next in line. If they would carry 5 outfielders, Stowers probably would have been the guy. But they're not. They're only carrying 4 true outfielders and then a few other guys that can play the outfield. Like Mateo, Nevin, or O'Hearn. All right. But yeah, I mean, I really want to see Stowers for an extended period of time getting consistent at bat, because he didn't get consistent at bats last year. All right. Moving on to the rest of the roster. Catcher is probably even more cemented than the outfielder. Obviously, Adley Rutschman and James McCann still on a contract, so bam, there's your 2 catchers. Infield, that's where there's some shakeup. No Jackson Holliday, which people are slightly annoyed about. To a certain extent, if Jackson Holliday had made the team, there is that draft pick compensation there, sort of reward for, promoting your minor league players instead of, kind of hanging them back and maybe getting some of that service time eligibility. But at the same time, Jackson Holliday's young, man. I mean, I feel like they literally just drafted him. I mean, he's only played 1 full year in the minor leagues. Oh, why is he not in the major leagues? Because he's only played 1 year in the minor leagues. 1 full year, anyway. I mean, he got drafted and played a little bit, not last season, the season before that. Like, he's literally only played 1 full year in the minor leagues. That's... Would I like to see him? Sure. Assuming he's ready. Is he ready? I mean, he's young. He's very young. So, keeping him down there for a bit to see if he can, work on some things, there is word that he doesn't hit lefties too well. But you got to let him face lefties. He's got to face lefties more often. Otherwise, he'll never learn to hit lefties if he never hits lefties. But that's kind of a Brandon Hyde thing, to not let young lefty hitters face lefties. It's very weird. But it does appear that they're trying to groom Jackson Holliday to be the second baseman and a double play partner to Gunnar Henderson, who it would appear will be mainly at shortstop. Jorge Mateo kind of converting to a more utility infielder / outfielder. More utility guy, I guess. Played some second base, played some outfield. He's got all kinds of speed, so you don't want to not have him there. It's a great weapon, but somewhat inconsistent defensively. Well, maybe not necessarily, more with his throws, I guess. And not very good offensively with the bat anyway, with the speed on the pass. Phenomenal. He doesn't really get a starting spot anymore. Mountcastle's still in there at first base. Tyler Nevin was it a trade or a waiver claim or something in the offseason? Back with the club. He's the only one of those guys, I don't know why they brought him back. They had him for a while and it just he didn't really impress anybody. He's a fine ball player. I just don't know that. Why is my opinion and why. And apparently Mike Elias was saying the same thing because with the acquisition of Tony Kemp, most likely, and we'll go to this article by Rock Kubatko, courtesy of MASNsports.com, and article written by Rock Kubatko. Title there is Kemp coming in. Well, one of the things that Kubatko mentions in this article is that there's no locker with Tyler Nevin's nameplate on it, so while roster spots are not officially announced, as if everybody else on this list has a locker with their nameplate on it except for Nevin, well, that's where Tony Kemp's going. Most likely taking Tyler Nevin's spot. Why? I don't know. Did you need another corner outfielder or corner infielder? No, you didn't. Of course, did you really need another middle infielder? No, not really either. You really didn't. Excuse me. I think I would have liked them to bring Stowers up, maybe play him a little more often and play Santander at first base more. I just think he looks more athletic out there than Mountcastle. Preference, really, I guess. But, they do kind of have a plethora of guys. Don't have too many superstars. Henderson, yeah. Other than that, nobody's really risen above good ball player status, I guess. So they have a plethora of good ball players. So it's how do you get the ball playing time? Kind of hard. And you can only have so many pitchers, so you have to have 13 position players. So Tyler Nevin, Tony Kemp is, he's getting that spot to a certain extent. I think he's a little faster than probably a Ramon Arias or Jordan Westberg, so there is some play to that. Tyler Nevin is going to be lumbering around the base paths. You know how Brandon Hyde likes to use his bench. Came up in the National League, that's what they do. Kemp does allow you to do that, and he allows you to do that after somebody like, let's say, O'Hearn works a walk or blasts a double or something to that nature, Kemp goes in there and runs for him. You don't have to, let's say, waste Mateo at that spot. You can save Mateo for a different spot. Though, of course, if O'Hearn blasts a double and he's on second base, you would use Mateo there, scoring position. But works a walk late in the game. Do you want to use Mateo there? Maybe not really. Do you want to use maybe a guy like Kemp there? Probably. That's probably a good spot for Kemp. Saves that bullet with Mateo. That maybe better speed bullet anyway. And rounding out the position players, Ryno Hearn. He is listed here as first base DH. We have seen him play the outfield. Definitely saw it in spring training. Ryno Hearn in right field. Anthony Santander at first base. So we may be seeing, and I hope so. I really do. I really hope Santander gets more play at first base. And you see his name right here on this list. As we are going alphabetical order by last name, not by position. I would have preferred to go by position, but that's okay. Ramon Arias and Jordan Westburg, the second base, third basemen. Okay. That's weird. Ramon Arias is probably he'd probably be better defensively than I think Jordan Westburg. And honestly, Ramon Arias is probably the third base, second baseman, and Westburg is the second base, third baseman. Westburg's gotten a lot more play at second base, and Arias has gotten a lot more play at third. Won a gold glove at third base. I mean, that's why he's still on the team. You know? He's great defensively. I did have a little bit of falling off offensively. And really, I think that's where they're going to struggle. If anything, I mean, scoring runs, I think, is going to be an issue because I don't see anybody that, at least in the past, has necessarily lit the world on fire with their power numbers. Now, Gunnar Henderson, was his, first year last year. So we'll see. We'll see how he plays out. Getting a little older, maybe getting a little more muscle and hit more home runs than you did the previous year. That's very possible. You see that a lot with young guys. Mountcastle and Santander were usually competing for the home run totals, but none of them got more than 28 last year. That's not great. To a certain extent, Mountcastle was hindered because of the Great Wall of Baltimore and the wall being pushed back. He's a right-handed hitter, just couldn't hit it out as much as maybe he once could. Santander, I don't know, because, he's a switch hitter, so he's hitting left-handed, But still a good offensive player. They just really didn't score that many runs. Now, to a certain extent, why I say they have a plethora of good players, instead of, having a few so-called superstars, breakout stars, they do have ability up and down the lineup to hurt you somehow, which is a good thing. It's more of a balanced lineup instead of, a lot of teams have to push all of their really good hitters to the front 4 or 5 lineup spots. The Orioles really, they got a problem here because they kind of got, multiple guys fit in multiple spots because nobody really has pulled away except for maybe Gunnar Henderson. And I think that's really where they're going to fall. And I kind of hope that they would have gone out and shopped for a big power bat in the offseason, but they didn't. They brought in we'll say that Corbin Burns is a more proven ace than, let's say, a Kyle Gibson. time will tell. And really, I mean, they had to go and get another closer because their closer was hurt. Now, maybe if Felix Bautista doesn't get injured, maybe they do bring in a bigger, better bat. But I think they're also hoping that maybe Gunnar Henderson can generate a little bit more offense on his own and therefore draw more attention away from some of the other players that may now allow those other players to do a little bit better at the plate. Because Henderson is drawing so much more focus and attention and pitch effort, other guys would get less pitch effort and therefore maybe get some more hittable pitches. Potentially. But I'm excited to get the season going again. I feel like some part of me has been missed. Like it wasn't around for the past few months. Oh yeah, that's right. There was no baseball. Now there's baseball. Yay, baseball's here. And of course, in this article written by Stacy from Candor Chat, it is unlikely the Orioles will make any external moves. But if they do, this could change, of course. So sorry, Stacy. So sorry, because literally a day or two later, boom, here comes Tony Kemp. External move. Honestly, I think all right, no, I won't go there. But yeah, that's going to do it for this edition of Ryno's Orioles Report. Make sure you do like the video and subscribe to the channel to be notified for upcoming videos. Oh, I'm so out of practice here. I want to go to the schedule. That's how I end these shows. Duh, out of practice. I talk about the schedule and then I end the show. But still, like the video and subscribe to the channel. We'll get that part out of the way here. First series for the Baltimore Orioles will be against the Los Angeles Angels. Los Angeles Angels coming into Baltimore. Be a Thursday game for opening day in the afternoon, 3:05 start. Friday off. It's been something they've been doing for the past several years. Schedule opening day for a Thursday. You have like a almost unanimous off day for Friday just in case of rain. Sure. If it's working for you, it's working for you. Do that. And then the regular, normal Major League Baseball schedule kind of picks up on after that. Saturday, 4:05. Sunday, 1:35. And then Monday, going back to the night game, 6:35. Monday, I will drop my video about the recapping the series between the Los Angeles Angels of the Anaheim, or however you call them nowadays, and the Baltimore Orioles. I try to get that out before the game. It's something I really need to do better of with my personal scheduling this year. I need to make sure I get my videos out before the next series starts. Yeah, definitely going to have to do that. All right, yeah, that's it already. Yeah, all right. I am the Angry Ryno, and this is Birdland.